So I'm going to start by lighting up the mood. I was supposed to do a rap for you about this theory, but I'm a college student and I waited to the last minute to do this. I had a paragraph of rapping done and that took me about 3 hours to do. So I was like, this is going to take me all day if I continue to do this. So I'm just going to present to you. Also, with my hair situation, I know you always talk about it in class. Um, yeah, I've combed this out like 5 times today, and this is how it's ended so far. So I'm just gonna start now. Um, so the learning theory that I will be addressing today to you is Piaget's theory of cognitive development. The student situation. When I was in seventh grade, I was in this reading class and I had no connection with my teacher at all. She wouldn't help me when I was struggling, and this was my struggle subject, so I needed help and I would ask for help and I wouldn't get any. She was also pregnant, so she had favorites, and obviously I was not a favorite. Um, Struggles with reading was my comprehension and my pronunciation. I was not at grade level at all for my reading, and comprehension for sure. So every time I'd read, I wouldn't know how to answer the questions following the reading. Um, she would test with me once a week or twice a week, but I would get zero feedback. I wouldn't know if I was improving at all. She would just write down all of her notes and not talk to me about them. So today, I will talk to you from a teacher's standpoint and how I would have changed your child's experience if she was in the same situation or he was in the same situation as me when I was in seventh grade reading. So I'm going to describe the theory that I would use, which is Piaget's theory of cognitive development and how it connects to the needs of your student or your child, obviously. Um, I'm going to give you examples of what you can do with your child to help them with their emotional, social, and physical growth. Piaget's theory, so he was just asking questions and trying to answer them and determine how children thought and what their reasoning for why they thought what they thought. So that's why he came up with this theory in the first place. This theory is children construct knowledge from experience. Children learn from assimilation and accommodation. So assimilation is the help from an instructor like me to address what they need to improve on. Equilibration is promoting progression towards increasingly complex thought. So once they start improving, getting more complex with the questions, so that improves their comprehension. I chose this theory to connect back to reading in seventh grade because this learning process comes from both the instructor, me, and the learner, your child. It stresses the bolded words above, like assimilation and accommodation, to improve those skills that your child might be struggling on. So there is 4 developmental stages of this theory. One's sensory motor stage, which is from birth to 2 years old. That's just with interacting with the environment, using objects and identifying them. Pre-operational stage is age 2 to 6, which begins to represent the world symbolically. So using those objects to connect back to the world or what their daily lives are like. Concrete operational stage is age 7 to 11, which learn rules such as conversation. So this is when we get into the reading part of it with verbal reading and reading eye to paper also. Formal operational stage is age 12 to adulthood. And since your student is, or your child is in 7th grade, that's the stage that we're at right now. And that's when they become more idealistic, having scientific reasoning and hypothetical ideas to back up their reasoning for their questions that they answer. The principle of this learning is I want to get teacher to student involvement. So I would like to do one-on-one interaction with your child to improve those skills so that they can be at grade level and improve. Payette's theory's main focus is long-term development. So my development that I would want for your child is long term. So I don't want to just give them one word and not connect that back to their lives and how they will use that later on in life, maybe in their vocabulary. So if your individual's struggling with something specific, like reading in this sense, one thing that I would want is to encourage to practice outside of class. Like practice is what helps them to improve. That's why I would be doing one-on-one with them like 2 or 3 times a week, just because I want that practice and that continual learning process. Testing in school is what I would do to see progress. And I would definitely give your child a improvement sheet, or like what they have improved on or what they need to work on, just so they know. One thing that I have learned from myself that I would totally want to do would be emphasizing on your child's strengths first, and then gradually like working in the weaknesses so that your child doesn't become like overwhelmed, and that they can use their prior knowledge from experience to help improve those reading skills. Understanding diverse students. So each student learns at a different pace. Not one student learns the same way. So Payette's theory's main idea deals with experience. And each student has a different learning strategy that they use. And that's usually based on their culture or how they've grown up and what they've learned from their parents. So that's kind of how I go about it when I want to teach them. I want to kind of teach them to what they've already learned and then just keep adding on to that. Differentiation is the classroom's key to success for all learners. Not having the same exact activities for everybody. Not everybody's at the same level of ability. So making sure you have different accommodations for each of your students who might need that. I connected this back to sports, like practice makes perfect and no one is perfect. So maybe one student in my class is struggling in math as your child is struggling in reading. So not one person is 100% at any subject. As a teacher, I want the best for all my students, for sure. So I will do anything and everything to make them successful. After school, I can meet with your child. During class, I will be meeting with them. Just want to improve on these to make a difference. Individual help from me, obviously, and then giving you the opportunity to help them outside of school. The role of family in learning. So I might see your child more in a day than you do, because I see them like 8 hours a day. But you're the one that raised them. You're the one that taught them what they know. So I think that's why you need to have a big, strong role in this learning process, because you connect at that level more. Students base their learning abilities with their experiences from growing up. So that could be culturally, with whatever you have taught them, and or just like listening to you and your family and how they talk. And that's how your child obviously is probably going to talk like. Being supportive of your child by like motivating them or just like praising and rewarding them when they achieve something. So just being positive, even if they are struggling. That's the best I can. That's what I'm going to do at school. Even if they're struggling, I'm going to do everything to turn it around, to make it positive. Get your child involved outside of school. So in extracurricular activities such as music, sports, or game clubs, or anything they're interested in. This will help them to open up socially, and this could help them with their reading skills because they are speaking to me, they're reading, and it's more fluent when they start talking and having more friends and just getting out there. Another thing is just with being supportive, like help them strengthen their weaknesses. And that goes along with my next slide with the activities you can do with your child. So spend as much time with your child as possible doing activities that your child enjoys. Don't do something that you only like and your child is just going to be bored the whole time. I know seventh graders can be moody, and so just like making sure they like what you guys are going to do together. Get your students or your child involved in extracurricular activities. If they like sports, get them involved. They need that, and just don't overwhelm them with too much on their plates with school and like too many sports or something like that. I did sports growing up, and it has made me a better person today. So I think that's a really big thought, like value I have that I would want for my students or even my own child. Student struggle. So your student or your child is struggling in reading, comprehension, and pronunciation. So make flashcards at home to sound out and read with them every night. Little by little each day will help them for sure. Be a role model for learning. So express that you want to help them. Like, get out a book, even if they don't want it, and be like, I'm going to read to you right now, and then maybe I'll get you, like, have you read a couple pages back to me. And I'll just keep pushing them. Connect what your child learns to everyday life and the world. So when they come home, ask them what they learned today. Just say, and then maybe even ask them a follow-up question like, how do you think this is going to impact you later on in life? Or how do you think this is going to help them later on? I just wanted to thank you for listening to my video, and hopefully you got a good idea of how I would have changed the way I would teach your child instead of what I experienced when I was younger. Thank you.